Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend, pardon me.
Welcome to the channel. For those who are new, my name is Jamil Ethan, and I'm hyped to talk to you today. I have 5 tips to market yourself. That's five times. 5 tips to market yourself. So let's get started. So if you're really thinking about marketing yourself, at the end of the day, one of the big downfalls to marketing yourself is not knowing where to start. Like when I first started on my journey, back in 2020, I launched this whole business thing, and I was like, I'm gonna write. I'm gonna be an author. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make a podcast. All of that stuff was awesome, really cool ideas. But what came with that was this idea and this whole conflict that like now I have to market. Now I have to figure out like how do I get to an audience? How do I get my voice heard in other spaces? So here are my 5 tips. Starting with number 1. Number 1 tip is be yourself. Being yourself is huge when it comes to this. Not just because being yourself is like this, like, yeah, I'm myself. It's be yourself. You want to put on the image of you that is the best version of you when you're marketing yourself. So if it's on social media, you want to amplify it. Like we all know social media is really just like this construct that we all have created. It is the highlight reel of your life. And understanding that is how you can start to work and really influence other people. Like put on the best image of yourself on social media. It's not the time to be sad boy or sad girl or sad person or sad human. It is the time to be like, this is what I do. Like I'm an author and I am promoting my book, or I'm promoting my writing, and I'm talking about writing. I'm sharing ideas. It's not a place for negativity and sadness, especially if you want to make yourself marketable to work with other people or to get opportunities. You're not going to get those opportunities if you're negative. So be yourself. And if you're sarcastic and witty, then go do that on social media. Like take advantage of all of the things that make you you, because that's what's going to make you marketable. That's what's going to make people want to be interested in you. If you look at all of the favorites, right? All of the people who like Joe Rogan, if you look at like these different personalities, they're themselves, and we like them because they're themselves. We don't like them because they're trying to be someone else. They might be a hyper extended version of themselves. Might not be their most authentic version of themselves, but they are something, and that's what makes us relate to them. So definitely do that. Find ways to be yourself, but be a bigger version of that. Number 2, I just talked about being yourself. The second piece is be a brand. Like, don't go out and think that marketing yourself is about like just you being you. You as yourself isn't always the most marketable product, but you as a brand might be. So for myself, I like to think of motivational. I like to think of ambitious. I like to think of all of these other qualities that come with being me, right? Like I'm trying to be all these things, and I try and achieve all this stuff, right? All of the other fluff and things. That's a part of your brand. So not everyone is like a fitness person, right? Like we've all seen the fitness people on Instagram, fitness people on Facebook, and you're like, oh my gosh, like all they do is lift and work out and wear workout clothes. Like that's all they're doing. But that's their brand. Now you've associated with them with those things, and they'll forever be able to navigate in that space because of that association that we've created, because that's their brand. So when you're thinking about yourself, when you're considering whether or not you are an author or you're a writer or a musician or an artist or photographer, you have to brand yourself as that too. Like you have to make sure that a lot of your content that you post and the things that you talk about are branded around those identities. You have to make sure that your channels, and if they're not your personal profiles, then you should really look at making sure that that stuff is branded specifically for the category or niche that you're trying to be in. Like for me, I'm a podcaster. A lot of my social media is podcast posts and episodes and things that I'm doing that are coming up. A lot of my posts are about me being an author and writing and that kind of stuff too. And those are the areas where I see myself being most branded. So when people see me and talk to me, if I'm coming on someone else's show, or if I'm like invited to be a guest at something, people lead with, oh, author, uh, podcaster, like host, whatever, Jamil. Like that's how I'm branded. So make sure that you're being a brand at all times when you're trying to market yourself, because you're going to market your brand to other people. The third tip, this is a big one. Put yourself out there. Um, you can't market yourself if you're trying to hide. The best way I like to describe it is like, we don't use the crayons that are hidden in the crayon box. We use the ones that are on the table. So make sure that you're making yourself available to be marketable. Like, you can't be afraid to get on social media. You can't be afraid for people to see you or talk to you. You have to be active in that process. If you have to tell family and friends on like your private Facebook group, whatever, like tell them like, hey, I'm a photographer now. Like, I want to take photographs. So if you ever need someone, hit me up. Like, that's all it really takes for them to be able to share your content and then start to think of you as that too. Like, when I started being an author, one of the first things I did was I launched a GoFundMe campaign. And by launching that campaign, a lot of people were like, whoa, you're going to write a book? You're going to be an author? And then they started to like first ever see me as an author in that space. So remember that, like, other people will see you as that too, but you have to put yourself out there. You can't be afraid. One of the other things that you can do, which is really helpful, is to just reach out to other spaces. Like, go and join communities on Facebook groups. Those are really good places to get started, to start to learn and start to understand what it's like to be someone in that space, what kind of questions people ask, and what kind of things that they try to do. That's a really good starting point, is like going into Facebook groups and joining those communities. Other communities like YouTube, you can go on YouTube and figure out like, and just search like, what are people going through? Like, what does that look like? What does it look like to be in this space? And then you'll build your brand from there, and you'll start to become more and more connected to the people that are also a part of that. So put yourself out there as being whatever you are marketing yourself as, because that is going to be key when it comes to being successful. It's going to be so crucial that if you're trying to make merchandise and put that out there, like I am right now, I'm trying to start to sell merchandise and getting a line going. So like, I have to start marketing that. I have to tell people like, hey, like, I'm asking questions on social media. What kind of merchandise should I get, to engage the community and start to get them also involved in my journey, so that they can be like, oh, he's also selling merch. Like, so now they know I'm selling merchandise. So if they want to forward it to somebody or let someone know or check out the website, they're going to be more inclined to, because I'm starting to talk about it. So remember that too. Like, you want to be able to build the buzz way before you even begin. Like, book marketing, for instance, starts way before the book's ever released. So it's weeks and months before. It's like, hey, I'm writing the third book. I'm writing the third book. I've said I'm writing the third book for like 6 straight months now. So like, definitely get yourself in that mindset of putting yourself out there, and it'll help so much more with your marketing. Number 4, find what works for you. So this is a really big one. If it's a social media platform like Instagram or Twitter, some people are really good at Twitter. I suck at Twitter. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I can't even look at the Twitter app anymore because it's just so beyond what I'm used to. But if you're really good at Twitter, then find Twitter. Stay in your, like, find your lane and then really invest in it. Like, invest a lot of time in it, make high quality content, and engage your audience there. That's gonna help market yourself more. Like, I'm trying to build my Instagram presence, trying to build my podcast. My podcast is way bigger than all the rest of my platforms. So when you're looking at like how you can market yourself, find what platforms work for you, and then go all in on those, because those will be the platforms that you send people to first, because that'll be your biggest method of like leverage. You can say, oh, I have like 10,000 followers on Twitter. Now all of a sudden you're going to start getting people to be more interested in working with you just because of that. So building your online presence kind of matters too. Having a podcast, be like, hey, I have a podcast show, I would love to have you on. That's a way bigger leveraging point than being like, oh, I have an Instagram account with 1,000 followers. It's like, everyone has an Instagram account, but not many people have a podcast or a show that I can hop on and like be a part of. Not many people have a YouTube channel. So like, starting a YouTube channel would be a really cool way. But like, find what works for you and then build on that slowly and steadily until you have a platform that's kind of well built, because that helps market you that much more. You don't need to have all of these followers and subscribers on all of these different channels and platforms to be valuable. But if you have it on one, you're going to become ridiculously more powerful just from having one platform that really works well. In the fifth tip, I feel like I say this a lot, but add value. Find out where you add value. Not all of us are experts, right? And like that's something we have to understand. We all have different skill sets. We all have different things that we excel in. There are people who are just much better writers than I am, right? Like they understand prose, they understand the concepts way more than I do. They went to school or studied it. So for me, my value doesn't come from writing advice, right? Because I'm still learning how to write and I'm getting better and better. But my value comes from being able to talk and communicate with people and putting myself out there in different platforms, like starting a podcast. That's where some of my value comes from as far as the author community. So for others, it might not be that, right? Some people aren't as outspoken or extroverted, which is perfectly fine. I don't believe that everyone should be extroverted, and I'm not even extroverted all the time. But what it means is they have to leverage the other areas. So some people can really do well with blog posts and like blogging for others and trading blogs. So know what value you can add and then bring that to the table, because not every time does someone need you to hop on their podcast. Maybe you're not going to be a good interview, but if you can hop on a blog post and be like, oh, I'll blog about this and I'll review your book, or I'll review your music. I'll go comment on this. Those different items and different things that you can do and different things you can leverage will help you be more marketable too. So find what works for you. Find where your niche is. Like if you're really just someone that has a good understanding for the way marketing works, then yeah, go do graphic design and help people with posters and help people with things. If you're a good editor, then go do editing. If you're a good producer and you can make sounds and beats, then go produce music. You don't always have to be the rapper or the person that's on the track. Like there's all of these different areas where you can be successful. So make sure you're marketing yourself as such, because once you find what you're really good at, you can focus primarily on that and still build a big brand from there. So that is what I'd say. Those are what I'd say are the 5 things that everyone should be doing to market themselves. Those are 5 tips to market yourself better. And at the end of the day, I think you'll be more successful if you do it that way. Now, if you found any value in this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, especially subscribe, because it helps the channel. It helps me be able to get my message out to more people. And it helps give these tips for all the rest of the creatives that are out here that are like, I'm not this huge 100 million subscriber whatever channel, so it's like, okay, I'm a regular person like you and like everyone else, and that's what's important. It's like we're not a huge channel for a reason, because we're just regular people talking and giving real advice from a raw place versus from a place that is so outside of what reality is. So if you really enjoyed this video, feel free to like, and if you have any thoughts and comments, definitely drop them below, because I'm interested to see what you do to market. Honestly, if everyone leaves one tip about what they do to market themselves, I feel like we'll all grow a little bit more. And with that being said, peace out.
Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend, pardon me, there's more of me to grow. Creative in my process, enjoy the show. The will is different when you recognize the different strokes. Different folks, same goals, we all want the most. So when we reach the top, we can enjoy the toast. The type of bread we get is fresh about the bakery. Told them don't play with me, with or without a degree, don't question my intensity. Bravery, similar to agencies that want to see you fold. So just pray for me. Yeah, Einstein with my energy.